Hey everyone, just wanted to do a quick video just to tell you about something I just found out. I'm here on Maggie's ranch. It's absolutely gorgeous. She's got quite a number of cattle, good area of land, and it's beautiful. Absolutely wonderful up here in Alberta. And I think we are knowing more and more about how the plight of ranchers is getting worse and worse. And that's for a number of reasons. And you can watch my episode with Maggie to talk more about that. But what I wanted to point out here was something I think is worse, certainly just as bad. I don't know if anyone will be able to help with this, or if enough people get aware of it that people up in Canada can, write their politician and make enough noise to try to undo this, because it's absolute garbage. So she has had this property for decades and decades and decades. It's been 5 generations of family. She married into this part. She had her own, but and then she married into this. And they consistently lose money because it's a very difficult operation. But something happened back in the 70s. The Canadian government decided that your land is not your land. The land belongs to the people, sort of like USSR and China and other sorts of places that have gone down that road. And so, okay, well, you can have the top of it because you paid for it, but all the minerals and the oil and the natural gas, the diamonds, the gold, anything underneath the surface belongs to the government. So they've stolen people's land and their the valuable minerals and substances below the ground. So in Alberta, it's very rich in natural gas, among other things. And on this land, they have had a very high producing natural gas well that's been going for over 30 years. Okay, maybe a lot more than 30 years, 30, 40 years. And the government decided that they own that. They auctioned that off to the highest bidder. And the ranchers and landowners get nothing. They don't get anything. Back in the 70s, when this first came about, they decided that, well, since you can't be using the land that we have the well on, and you can't use, you can't farm, you can't graze, you can't sell the land really. It's not usable. Well, we'll pay, a fair rate for that, and that was $3,500, and that has been grandfathered in. It doesn't change, so it's still $3,500. So now in 2023, they're getting $3,500 for what is likely hundreds of millions of dollars worth of natural gas that by rights should be theirs and all the other landowners in Canada. So Maggie shouldn't be struggling. Maggie should be gloriously wealthy, but she's not. She's struggling. She's in massive amounts of debt. She has to keep selling off pieces of land. The land's very valuable. Not that she's getting paid for it by these people, but she has to keep selling off more and more land just to keep up with her debt. And so if anybody says, well, big cattle and there is no big cattle. It's not a thing. The packing plants and things like that, maybe. But the ranchers, no. And so after COVID, they tried to lower the rates. They said, well, times are tough. We can only afford to pay you $1,500 a year. So not only are they not paying what it's worth, they're trying to basically pay them nothing, which is absolutely disgusting. So what I want to do, and I hope that people watching this can do, maybe can help me out, maybe people that are in touch with lawyers or politicians or just people in general that care about normal everyday people getting absolutely railroaded by large corporations and the government, can maybe have some ideas on what can be done, how this can be changed, giving the rights back to the people, giving the land back to the people. This is her land. She's always had this. She pays, you know, all sorts of money for it. She's in massive amounts of debt. She's selling off more land just to keep this, and she doesn't even get to use it. And she doesn't even get the benefits of her land, which are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, literally, I mean, think about 40 years of a high producing natural gas well. How many hundreds of millions of dollars is that going to be? So, and she's just one. She's just one of so many people being absolutely scammed by the government, and you know, the businesses are going along with it. And because they basically have no rights, the oil companies, the gas companies, they actually treat her like garbage. They they have easements to get to the well, and they just they have in the past gone outside of that easement and driven right through her crops and destroyed her crops and left gates unlocked and let people steal her cattle. I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe the people there, that's another thing. They have the same padlock on every single padlock that they use throughout the entire country. It's the same damn combination. So anybody who's ever worked there knows that every single one of these combination locks is the same combination. And they could just go to any farm and just rob them blind. And it happens. And she lost about $40,000 worth of cattle that way. Just woke up one day and was like, where the hell are they? And they were gone. So that's ridiculous. They're running roughshod over them. This is her land, her property, and it's being stolen from her, and she's being treated like it's not even hers by the government and by the businesses. So if anybody's out there that can do something about this, write their politician, talk to people, and just drum up awareness, share this around, leave comments, try to get this viral, get this going out there so that people understand this is bullshit, you know, and people need to be aware of this and understand how screwed they're getting and people like Maggie are getting. And this is just, I mean, come on, it starts here, it ends with everything else that you own, you know. And so, you know, that's the agenda. I mean, there's one of the political parties here in Canada, I'm learning, they even say in their charter, they say that, like, you know, people should not be allowed to own land. Farmers should not be allowed to own farmland. It was like, are you out of your mind? You go back to the communist states, 95% of the farms that were communally run produced 5% of the output. 5% of the farms that were still being run privately were producing 95%. Okay, this is just a better model, and also it's right. You know, so this is people's property. This is their land. This is their livelihood. This is their heritage, and it is being stolen from them for the good of the people. Bullshit. That is bullshit. And anybody watching this, please do whatever you can to make noise about this and get this out there, to try and reverse this and get people their property back, get people their land back, get people their mineral rights back, and the rights to the natural resources on their property, which they own. No one else owns that. They own that. And it's just going to the government so they can just waste it and just spend it on themselves and make themselves rich. And so it's being taken away from you. It's been taken away from Maggie. It's being taken away from everyone. So I plead with all of you, do something, write your politician, make noise, share this around, and stop this from going on. This has to be changed. And, you know, if it doesn't get changed, if it doesn't go in one direction, it's going to go in the other. If we don't start making improvements in the direction of freedom and private ownership, it's going to go in the direction of slavery. And the government owns everything. You know, the whole saying, it's 2030 and you don't own anything and you love it. Okay, yeah, so let's translate that. It's 2030, you're a slave and you love it. No, I'm sorry, I don't, and we won't, and no one will. So let's stop this nonsense right now, and please do whatever you can to make this stop. This is bullshit. Thank you very much.